Day one of the changes for the Cirencester College routes. I'm filming this at the lunchtime. Availability. The first one is a Pullman and Son coaches ADL Enviro 400 MMC on an E40D chassis. For a C65 service to Lower Tuffley and Quedgeley, YW25FNL. Unchanged, that route. Next up we have the C6 to Shrivenham, then Stanford in the Vale, HW63FGN 1572. Then we have C1 to Rushy Platt, YN55NHJ 375. Then we have C8 for Bridgeme, BX09PHA 1280. Then we have C7 for Highworth, BX09PFY 1276. Another Swindon Bus Company E40D. It's C2 for Cirencester, BX09PGY 1279. And an Omnideck is coming up next. C11 to Coat, YN55NHH 374, the new route. C5 for Wanborough, BX09PGO 1278. And in the reverse direction, BX09PGV. Forgetting to go into the college, I believe. So yes, guys, I'm going to do a quick summary of all the changes to the Cirencester College routes affecting all of the Swindon Bus Company ones, and the C59, C59X for Pullens, including a brand new commercial service for Pullens, the 859. But yeah, we'll talk about that after we film the last few Swindon Bus Company ones. And of course, as I said, a C5 to Wanborough, that's new. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but here comes C53 to Royal Wootton Bassett, BX09 PDV 1272. And the last Swindon Bus Company service leaving the college, it's a C9 for Rawton, BU09JZT 1271. And we have one more service behind that, which is adjacent to being behind the wall. It is the C64, only the second Pullman & Sons coaches Enviro 400 MMC on college at lunchtime. That one's running C64 to Eastington via Stonehouse, another unchanged service alongside the C65, as Pullens will be making their changes for the next set of changes, probably to be in place for some point in December, maybe early January. However, C64 for Eastington will turn left to go round the Stroud Road roundabout before heading off down Stroud Road for some reason. Here it is, popping out last but not least, or least, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the C64. YW25FNN. Okay guys, quick summary of the changes that are in place from today, Monday 17th of November. We'll go in order of the routes. C1, which runs from Rushy Platt to Cirencester College via Freshbrook and Tawny Owl. This service remains unchanged in the morning inbound and afternoon return trips, being generally the same times, excluding some punctuality changes for the morning trip to accommodate for traffic. However, the lunchtime trip will be rerouted via Oakhurst and Redhouse in both directions between Tawny Owl and the college to replace the withdrawn lunchtime service on the C3, which we'll speak about shortly. C2 to Cirencester and West Swindon areas will now run via the residential area, entering using the Vigon building bus stop. C64 coming back around. But yes, it would enter via the Vigon area, serving the St Andrews Ridge residential area, as the stops on the main road were deemed unsafe for a college service, so it's been rerouted via the residential areas, and a few retimings for punctuality issues as well. The C3 has had its lunchtime journey withdrawn, and that has been replaced in the Oakhurst and Redhouse areas by the C1, which now leaves Rushy Platt a few minutes earlier. I think 20 minutes earlier. The C4 has been completely withdrawn, with areas on this route being taken over by the C5, C6 routes. The C5 has been completely rerouted following the removal of the C4, and it now begins from Wanborough, running via Foxhill and Liddington into Covingham, where it will follow its original route. Park South and Queen's Drive will no longer be served, being served by the new route C11, which we'll speak about shortly. Service C6 still runs to Stanford in the Vale, however it's now been extended past Stanford in the Vale High Street to serve Stanford in the Vale, Spencer's Close. It has also been rerouted via Lower Stratton and Kingsdown to make up for these areas being lost on the C4. The blind has also been changed as it is now longer than 1 hour 45 minutes, meaning it must be split, similar to the C62, now reading Trivenham then Stanford in the Vale. Additionally, some punctuality changes have been made with a new lunchtime journey, due to just traffic and shit in the morning. The C7 running to Blunsdon and Highworth has had no major route changes, excluding some punctuality changes for the morning and afternoon trips to accommodate for extra traffic. The C8 to Bridgemead again has had not many major changes, however has received punctuality changes, and it will no longer serve the St Andrews Ridge Vigon bus stop, remaining along Thamesdown Drive. Service C9 between Rawton and Cirencester College has had its duplicate bus removed and is now non-stop after Regent Circus to South Cerney Army Barracks, and will no longer serve Gorse Hill and Penhill. These areas have been taken over by the new C11, which I'll mention shortly. The C10 has remained largely unchanged, the only difference being some timing changes on the trips in each direction. The new service C11 will begin from Park South Queen's Drive, and it will run along Queen's Drive, up County Roads, through Gorse Hill and Penhill, before up the A419 to College as normal, taking over the areas missed by the C5 and C9, which are now either not serving or being non-stop. The C11 runs one trip in the morning, one trip at lunchtime towards College, and one trip at lunch and in the afternoon from College out to Park South. It begins from Kirby Close towards College, Ripon Way, however terminates at Cote Water in the other direction, because it might as well. And this one is going to be run by Swindon's Bus Company using E40D Enviro 400s and the Scania on-deckers. The C53 will no longer serve Broad Blunsdon Abbey Stadium on Lady Lane, which will now be served instead by the C2, which has been largely rerouted in areas. The C59X series has now been changed. This is probably the largest change ever. The C59X in the morning will now leave Brockworth Whittle Inn approximately 10 minutes earlier to accommodate for larger traffic between Brockworth and Stroud. It will then follow the normal route up to Cirencester. However, there's a new lunchtime service beginning from Brockworth Whittle Inn at 11:05. Running down through Painswick into Stroud before running like a normal C59 via Brimscombe Hill and Minchinhampton into Cirencester College, arriving for approximately 12:15. The early afternoon service at 13:45 from Stroud Mary Walks remains, but is now renumbered as the new commercial route 859, not being paid by the college as Pullums are paying out of their own pocket. This service will still be accepted as a Cirencester College service, but will not enter the grounds, using the lay-by towards Cirencester and the Cirencester Deer Park School bus stop in the other direction. And then the later afternoon service, arriving into Cirencester for approximately 4 p.m, will now begin from Brockworth Whittle Inn, running as an 859, beginning from Brockworth at 14:35 and leaving Stroud Merricks at 3:10, to arrive into the Forum for 3:50. In the reverse direction from Stroud, the 0855 service from the Forum will now run as an 859 trip, extending all the way up to Brockworth Whittle Inn, arriving approximately at 10:15. It will still run via Minchinhampton and Brimscombe Hill, before running via Painswick and Cranham up to Brockworth. Next up, the lunchtime trip will now leave at 12:20, arriving to the college grounds at 12:30, now running as a C59, serving Minchinhampton and Brimscombe Hill. This service will additionally extend to Painswick, Cranham and Brockworth, giving them a lunchtime service, arriving for approximately 13:45, give or take. And then the afternoon service will now leave Cirencester Forum at 4:05, being at Cirencester College grounds for 4:20, before running the normal route via Chalford, Stroud, Painswick, Cranham up to Brockworth, arriving for approximately 17:25. The 859 is the new commercial route. I missed a trip, leaving at 14:40 from Cirencester Forum to Stroud Mary Walks only. That will also run as the 859. The 859 runs 2 trips out of Cirencester and 2 trips out of Stroud. the trips from Cirencester at 8:55 a.m. and 2:40 p.m. The 8:55 a.m. extends to Brockworth, the 2:40 does not, and the 8:59 trips in the other direction, 13:45 beginning from Stroud Walks only, and 14:35 beginning in Brockworth, being 3:10 from Stroud. Easing pressure money-wise from the college, but still offering these services for college students as well as public passengers. Thank you for watching this video about all the changes. I hope they're good. We'll have to find out in due course. See you in a bit, guys. Thank you for watching.